Hi, my name is Todd Long. I'm with Leadership Innovations, and welcome to my part 2 in my series of Leading Virtually. Part 1 video was on showing value, and today we're going to talk about establishing clear boundaries, which is one reason why I'm filming this from my sunroom. I understand the importance of creating these boundaries really well. One of my first career jobs, I worked from home about 20 years ago. And everything worked out great. My wife would go off to work, I would work from home, get everything done, and it worked out fine. Then we had our first child. She came home full time, we had a baby, I had a job to do, and those boundaries became really blurry. And so there was a little bit of tension in terms of who was responsible for what, when was I working, where was I working, and how those two things blended together in our small living quarters. So we're going to focus today on creating those boundaries in a really healthy way. So as you can see from my illustration, there's a challenge or a problem that many people face when working from home. And that problem has to do with the tension between what I'm doing, work versus personal, where I'm doing it, which is regard to the space, and when I'm doing it regarding the time. And so we're going to answer those questions and find the solution to them by really determining and communicating clear boundaries as the answer to that. And there's 3 areas we're going to focus on: responsibilities, space, and time. So let's first look at responsibilities. Now, it's clear that there's these 2 kinds of divisions of responsibilities. There's the personal responsibilities and the professional responsibilities. And we understand when we're working from home, these get really confusing sometimes. Right? So it's important to really understand what are my primary responsibilities at home with the people I'm living with and interacting with. What do I need to take care of and be committed to doing? We also need to understand that from a professional standpoint. We can't make the assumption just because I went from the office to home, I'm going to have the exact same responsibilities. So it's important to stop and pause and think about this. There's an exercise you can do, and it's called Start, Stop, Continue. And what this does is it allows you to pause and think in terms of what responsibilities do you need to start doing now that you're working from home, what responsibilities do you need to stop doing now that you're working from home, and then what responsibilities do you need to continue doing. So there's an exercise that will help you identify these responsibilities, but it's also important then to communicate those with the people that you're interacting with. So there's our first boundary to consider. Our second boundary to consider is space. Now I understand this really well. When I first started my business, our space was limited in the house that we were living in. I ended up putting my office in the unfinished back corner of our basement below our laundry room. Got an old desk, an old chair. We stapled old sheets to the rafters above me, and that was my office space. Right? But it worked for me. It gave me the space that I needed to think, to focus, and get things done. Now, as you think about space, the question is what space is available? Now, you might have to be creative with that. Also, you have to answer the question, what space is best for me in terms of being able to work? And that might be different for different people. Some people can work with a little bit of chaos and noise around them. Other people need silence and focus. And then the last question is, what resources do you need? Desk, a chair, camera, phone, whatever else you might need around you. I would encourage you to find a really good chair. That's important. So space is another boundary that needs to be discussed. Our third boundary is time. Now, this has already been really blurry in our society these days between work and personal and how those overlap quite a bit. And it becomes even more blurry, or blurrier, if you will, now that you're working from home. So let me suggest the primary thing is to create that schedule for yourself and the people around you so you know when you're working and when you're not working. Now, you could have a traditional schedule, which is basically you get up and do your personal activities, and then you go to work and you have lunch and you go to work and you do personal time, and you get your work time in for the day. Or you might have a more fluid schedule where you get up and you do some work, then you might exercise and shower a little bit, you come back to work, you go back to family activities, and it's this ebb and flow between work and personal and work and personal. Either one of these schedules works as long as you clearly identify what it is and clearly communicate that with the people around you. So there's your solution in terms of creating solid and effective boundaries for yourself and others when you're working from home. So know your responsibilities, create that space and understand where that is, and then be clear about your time. Let me encourage you to pause, reflect for a few minutes, and take this to heart, and find ways you can apply this to make your opportunity of working from home much, much better experience for yourself. Thank you for watching this video on creating and communicating clear boundaries. My desire is for you to be a confident, mindful leader while you're working from home or working in person in the office. Join me next time, as the topic that I'll present will be on staying focused while leading virtually. Thank you so much and have a great day.